Okay, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Beyond the Gates 25. Great job. You made it a quarter of 100 episodes. But I got to say, first of all, Nurse Shanice, and a lot of people like Jeremy, her name is Shanice. Cause I usually just say Ashley's boss. But Shanice, man, she killed it this episode. Low key, she's my favorite character. She is nosy as all hell. Somebody online said she's the soap opera Ashanti, and I was dying. She kind of does favor Ashanti, but she she stole the show for me. But yeah, 10 out of 10 for Beyond the Gates season 1 episode 25. Hope everybody's doing well. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode, as you can tell by my demeanor. And let's not waste any more time and get into it. So, Naomi is picking up where she left off in episode 24 with being no nonsense about the fact that she knows that, okay, so you all say you want to back out of the case, right? Yeah, we want to drop it. We just, my father, yes, he wanted you to settle. How did you know? I know Bill Hamilton's tactics. And I'm telling you, we have a case. He wouldn't want to settle out of court unless he knew we had a case, because he wants to avoid the negative publicity and the scrutiny and how this can impact the firm in a negative way. So if he's able to intimidate you and settle, he will try that option. But she gives one heck of a compelling speech in order to get these women to not back down. And I loved it. She was literally on top of it, which I did find interesting because of the fact that later on in the episode, she goes back to the firm to confront her dad, because Bill is thinking like this case is over and done with, because Haley, for whatever reason, thinks that she had a role in, oh, well, I guess that my tactic worked. What do you mean? I may have went to speak with Naomi to, kind of tell her that if she goes up against you in court and loses, then her and her little firm will go bankrupt. And Bill's like, whoa, now, come on, let's not, baby, I told you not to do anything. Like, stay out of this, please, and keep your distance. And then from there, it's like, so how was your day? Well, I thought it was going to be good until I went to the country club and I had a doubles match. I think that's a reference to tennis. I'm not a big sports guy, but I think doubles is a tennis thing. But it's like, I went to my scheduled match, but apparently they said it'd been replaced, and I was told they're Team Danny. What do you mean? Yeah. So, you know what? What's his name? Glenn. I think it's Glenn. Yeah, I know the country club president, and I can make a couple of calls and make sure you don't get disrespected. No, Bill. You told me to stay out of your situation with Naomi. Please back off with this. Let's not make it worse. And I'm thinking, yet again, I would have docked points from this episode, but I love how everybody can clap back at a Haley. The Duprees built this community. You betrayed, as Nicole said. Now I'm going to reference this quote as many times as I see fit. I fell in love with an inconvenient man, and now you have to deal with the inconvenient consequences. See how that works? Danny is a beloved member of this community. It's up to her as to whether or not you'll eventually be accepted. Which is an interesting thing, because later in the episode, Bill brings up Team Danny to Danny, and she's like, what's this Team Danny thing? But essentially, Bill wants to call the president to make sure she gets the respect, because look, I want everybody to see you the way I do. They never will. Not by choice. I mean, you might try to strong arm and blackmail and intimidate everyone, but the Duprees run this shit. Okay? This delusional thing needs to stop. Look, don't get me wrong. Danny, she's going through it and she's a bit delulu herself. But for Haley to just go up to the people she screwed over and think that she could be a peacemaker when you caused this shit is ridiculous. Sheesh. Okay. Now, anyway, we have Danny, who, and I love what they're doing with her storyline. They don't just immediately have her going, what's it called? Cold turkey, alcohol free. As someone who doesn't drink, I can't relate to this, but as someone who does have a bit of a soda, thing that I need to start reducing, I tried the whole kicking soda thing, and it literally just, I struggled for like 4 days, the headaches and whatnot, because I don't smoke, I don't drink tea, so I didn't have a caffeine substitute, so to speak. So I cannot fathom, and I have the utmost respect to anyone who has had, and I don't even want to say just like an addiction, but you had a habit smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, or heck, maybe you were kind of, addicted to drugs. Anyone who kicked the habit, I commend you, because it must take an incredible amount of work and willpower. And every day is a struggle. Some days are easier than others. So I love that the show is not going the easy route. They are showing that Danny is dealing with a problem. She is dealing with a problem. So she's looking at the alcohol, and it looks like she's about to drink some, but Chelsea comes back to apologize. And I love this moment, because at first Danny starts to like go in on Chelsea because she like dropped her and, said she wanted nothing to do with you. It was like, I didn't say all that. And then Danny has a moment of realization where she's like, oh my gosh, I took out on you because I thought you did what your father did and just kick me to the curb in exchange for like a younger model. Well, in her case, your case is like replacing me as your momager with your new business partner, Kat. But what Bill was replacing me with Haley. And it's like, baby girl, don't apologize. This is your thing. I'm sorry. So I love they were able to hug it out. That was good. So then that leads to another conversation later in the episode where Danny is on the phone with Jonathan in order to figure out a replacement for Chelsea, which, as I said in my episode 24 review, I agree with Danny and Kat, who supported Danny, and that Chelsea, why not do the fundraiser and then you can promote our purse line? Like, why aren't they doing that? So this leads to me going, yeah, Danny is going to be the replacement. I don't know why they're dragging this out. She will be the person to replace Chelsea on the runway. But then she gets over to the drinks and she pours one out. I'm like, no. But we go over to the diner and Chelsea's there on the phone with Kat, and she's venting about like her life and, her mom tripping, and then the fact she calmed down, and then the whole situation with her step monster, and who sachets her way into the diner other than Haley herself. Now, I ain't gonna lie. The way because somebody on Twitter said this, and I literally retweeted it moments before starting recording this video. The tweet said, and why does Haley still dress like she's dancing on the pole? That unlimited black card apparently doesn't buy taste. I was dying. So she rolled up in there with that black tough, or what do you call it, a mink coat or whatever you want to call it. I was dying. So she wants to have a conversation with Chelsea. And at first she's like, look, get to stepping. That's essentially what was going on here. But Chelsea goes in on her. I don't know why Haley is just doing this, because, like I said, I believe at some point Chelsea and Naomi will start to forgive their dad and reestablish their relationship. But with Haley, hell no. No. So Chelsea goes in like Naomi did, just going in. She does catch herself. It's like, well, if you had a mom growing, okay, you know what? That was a bit too far. No, that's right. I didn't have a mom growing up, and maybe if I did, and this, that, and the third, I'd know when something was wrong, because Haley did kind of get a couple of jabs in there, because Chelsea's like, you know what? My mom is in pain right now. Well, what about the pain your mom has caused me? Wait, what are you talking about? Like the smack at the country club? I didn't cry over that. Or shooting at the wedding? Well, I didn't cry over that. Oh, but did you tell your mom? Did anybody tell you about your mom? Like, oh, you say she's doing better, but what about her, going into me and Bill's house and wrecking things, drinking an expensive bottle of wine, smashing our wedding photo? Look, when is it going to end, Chelsea? At some point, it has to end, or guess what? This is going to keep going until somebody seriously gets hurt. And you can tell Chelsea's like, oh, no. And she kind of cut Chelsea deep on that one. It's like, all I'm asking is that, like, you and Naomi just start to hopefully think about reconnecting with your father. I'll think about it. And then she leaves. And Haley feels like, oh, I got one, now for the other. Ugh. So after that, and look, I want to talk about the Ashley stuff. I'll get to that probably last because I have the most to say about that. Now, we go over to Uptown and man, you could not tell me that was not Andre speaking with Derek at Uptown, because I was confused as I don't know what when we swapped over to the hospital and Andre was talking with Ashley. I'm like, wait a minute, how is he at Uptown and he's talking with Ashley? No, it was Jacob. They look too much alike. It threw me off, but now I got to remember. Oh, wait, doesn't like Jacob have more facial hair than Andre? I think they look too similar. That threw me off. But yeah, so Jacob arrives at Uptown to talk with Derek, and it's cool to see just the fellas hang out, because typically they have their double date night where it's like, Ashley and Derek and Naomi and Jacob, but they're all so busy with work now that they barely hang out. So it's cool to just see the fellas hang out. So it's funny because Derek is looking at that article that Andre took a photo of him for, and then his friend at like the Washington Post or whatever article it was, or whatever company it was, doing a fluff piece on, well, the fact that he's a hero, he saved a cat. And it's funny because Jacob is kind of like big, siding with his boy, like, isn't he supposed to be like a world-renowned photographer? Like, why he got you looking like a troll, but yet the photos he has of Ashley looks like an angel. Man, that was crazy. So they're talking about the article and whatnot, and Jacob thinks that Andre is interested in Ashley. It's like, wait, what? Like, no, like, and even if there is something going on, it doesn't matter because he's going to be splitting town soon anyway. And not to mention, she's totally, into me. Well, she's too good for you. Hey, what about you and Naomi? It's like, yeah, I know. I leveled up with Naomi. And, we had our little rough patch when I had to arrest her mom for what she did at the wedding. But everything is good now. So, they think everything is cool. Now, Naomi actually shows up to Uptown a little later because Jacob spots his partner across the room. So he goes to approach the detective, and he just confronts her like, look, be real with me. My dad talked to you to be nice to me, right? Like, no such thing. Like, look, I don't need my daddy fighting my battles or, talking with people, asserting his authority to make you nice to me. So just tell me what like it is. So, you want me to treat you like one of the guys, huh? So basically, he's like, well, don't worry about me watching your back then. You do your thing, I do mine. And then that's when Naomi comes in, introduces herself to the detective, and he just splits. And they're at the bar talking about the case and the fact that, at first the women wanted to quit, but I got them to stay. But then I had a moment where I'm like, am I doing it for me to get back at my dad, or am I doing this because it's the best interest of these women? So, and I loved how earlier in the episode when Naomi is talking to the three women, she clearly indicates that, I don't want you to back down, because if you back down and settle, then that's not going to stop future female employees of the firm from coming in and then suffering the same way you did against Mike, which is something I forgot to mention in, I think, my episode 24 review, or did Bill mention it in this episode? Either way, he says something to the effect of, he thinks this case is going to blow over, it's not even going to court, and then the next time a female employee comes to the firm, and if Mike so much as winks at them, he can use that as an excuse to terminate him to avoid any sort of further situation like this ever again. So that's why Bill is so cocky. But unbeknownst to him, this case is not dead, because before coming to Uptown, Naomi actually stopped by Bill's office. It's like, oh, baby girl, yeah, the case is still open, and you're not going to win. And Bill's like, oh, crap. So this is not over yet. Now, Bill does something incredibly sneaky by calling Danny, asking if he could stop by the house. And it's like, Bill, that is not a good idea. I promise it'll only be a few minutes. And Danny hangs up the phone. And she rushes upstairs, excited and giddy. I'm like, Lord, it was kind of the opposite of, like, kids running downstairs Christmas morning. Imagine Danny doing that, except he's like, oh, I need to change my clothes because Bill's coming over. I'm like, oh, Lord, this is not going to be good. Now, Bill, and I'll talk about, I think, I'll talk about this Bill and Danny scene, and then I can wrap things up by talking about Ashley and Andre's conversation leading to Andre talking to Derek, and then the dinner invite. Then he talks to Shanice for advice. But yeah, so Danny and Bill comes over, and he's like, "Oh wow, place hasn't changed." Nope. Yeah, this couch, So the whole premise of this scene is you could tell Bill is trying to manipulate Danny in some way, shape, or form. Most likely to probably entice Naomi to drop the case, which is low down. But he knows that he can have Danny eating out of the palm of his hands. It's kind of like, remember a few episodes ago, he was under the assumption that Naomi taking this case was her way of like, trying to reconnect with him by debating, which is kind of what they did over dinner all the time. And it's almost like he's looking at Danny's actions as a way to, get him to pay attention to her. So he knows, I know exactly what buttons to push to get Danny to, eat out of the palm of my hand. So if I can manipulate her, we can work together to get Naomi to drop the case. But, look, all I'm saying is this. If Bill tries to get Danny to be on his side to get Naomi to drop the case, Grandma Anita ain't playing that. So I feel like Bill is, he knows how formidable Naomi is because she's a chip off the old block. He would not be doing all of these underhanded tactics unless he knew there was a good chance that there is a case that these women have against him, and the fact that with Naomi backing them up, they could win. So, they're talking about, the old times, like, oh, like when you got this pink couch, I couldn't stand it, but it suits you, it works. And oh yeah, all the times, like, oh, remember we bought that and we picked out this. And then I think that he said that he was selling one of their like vacation spots or whatever, and like a lodge or whatever, and he's like, oh yeah, do you have the deed to that one beach house or whatever? It's like, oh yeah, I think I have it. So it turns out that either she was keeping it in a photo album, or she purposefully pulled out the photo album in order to kind of, stir up old memories, because this takes me back to, I believe, episode 4, when Danny went over to Bill's office to just say, look, just drop this farce of a wedding and come home to me. Like, let's just make it work. Like, I'll do all the work. I feel like this was, while Bill is over there to manipulate her, Danny thought she could play him by trying to draw up all these old memories. And he looks at all the photos and, reminisces about when Chelsea and Naomi were young, and at one time they were at the beach and it was storming and this, that, and the third. And that led to, them reconnecting over this one particular moment they had where they're at this like restaurant or diner, and it's like, oh yeah, the lights were dim, candles were lit, we had champagne, and then it was Usher on the radio singing that one song. No, it was Cisco. I don't know why. I just love that moment. Was it? Yeah, it was Cisco. Trust me. Oh, what was that? Okay, maybe you're right. What was that one song he said about what was it? It was the man who had everything and the money and whatnot, but without his woman, incomplete. And then they looked at each other's eyes and Danny kissed him. I'm like, no! But it was so messed up, because I love how people online said what I was feeling, that it's so crazy to me that Bill and Danny have way more chemistry than Bill and Haley, because Bill and Haley, it just feels like Bill is Haley's, what's that term? Sugar daddy. And it's almost like a weird daughter-father dynamic. Oh, I know that's weird to say, but I don't see married couple when I see Bill and Haley. I just feel like that's a PYT to make himself feel young again, as opposed to his actual like wife he loves so deeply. Because like I said, I just feel like she was a plaything rather than anything he took seriously. So, but yeah, Danny, I feel so bad. It's like you see her battle with trying not to drink alcohol, but then you see that she can't get over her true addiction, which is Bill. Oh, man. Oh, man. So we'll just have to wait and see how far this goes in the next episode when it picks up where we left off. But over at the hospital, we have Ashley confronting Andre about, look, we've been friends for so long that you don't need to be ghosting me and whatnot. Like, the kiss didn't happen. you need to realize that me and Derek are a thing and just talk to me. And Andre's like, not trying to admit to anything. It's like, oh, well, look, we're buds, okay? And if you don't want me to be in this documentary, that's whatever, but just don't act weird around me. So, okay. So we're buds. So he holds his hand out. She shakes his hand. But you could tell by the look on her face, because he looks at her and she looks at him. And my favorite bit during this conversation, because Shanice was on the phone talking with somebody about this upcoming documentary. She's ready for her close-up. And then, it's a documentary about these new nurses and whatnot. Like, yeah, it's a shame what happened to that Laura girl, but Eva, like, yeah, she's nice enough. Oh, I gotta go. Something looks like it's going on. What does she do? She goes around the counter so she can eavesdrop. And the thing is, Andre kind of like caresses Ashley's hand with his thumb, and then she pulls back. See, that's awkward, right? Awkward is a two-way street, my friend. Hey, boundaries. Start using them. Okay. Well, I'll keep in touch with you about that documentary, bud. Okay, bud. So he kind of looks around and then leaves. And then Ashley goes up to the counter, and then Shanice is like, well, what? Be careful with that documentary. Make sure it's a PG interview. What are you talking about? Look, there's nothing going on between me and Andre. Like, we were just chatting about the documentary. That's it. Listen, let me give you some advice as a nurse. Look, it's dangerous to make assumptions. Well, let me tell you something. There's no need to prescribe you anything. It's clear you are suffering from symptoms of Andre's charms. It's obvious, because I think back to several episodes ago when her mom, Jan, this was when Derek got out of the hospital, but then he immediately went back to work. Ashley was pissed off. She called her mom to come over, and then she wanted to give her that photo, which was like a collage of pictures, the candid photos Andre took, but then also the photos of the baby and the woman they delivered for in the elevator. And Jan's like, why would I keep this? This is a sentimental gift. And then when she went into the kitchen, she looked back and saw that Ashley was longingly staring at the photos, because it's one thing for her to like miss her friend, but also you got to wonder if she has feelings for Andre, and that seems to be the case. So that's the thing, because Derek is talking to Jacob. It's like, oh, well, even if he does have feelings, it doesn't matter, because I know that she's into me, so it doesn't matter. And on top of that, Andre eventually goes over to the Uptown and runs into Derek. And this is while Jacob was at the bar talking to the detective, and then Naomi when she showed up. And, they talk about the article and the fact that, hey, I'm actually sticking around because I'm working on another, piece, because the article is great because it's just highlighting people who save lives. And the documentary I'm working on now is going to focus on the nurses at the hospital. It's like, wow. So Andre actually offers to get Derek a beer, but then later on, Ashley arrives back at her place, and then she's talking with Derek, and he mentions Andre, and it's like, yeah, he offered me a beer, but I didn't accept. What do you mean? Because I invited him over to dinner. And Ashley's face is like, oh no. So over at the hospital, Andre's like, oh my God, because he's back at the hospital because he left his documentary gear there. And Shanice says, oh, don't worry, I can buzz you in, because I know you don't have a key from Ted, so I can vouch for you. Just pay me back with a couple of smiles. And he's like, oh, you know what? No, I'm just I'm bugging, because my documentary stuff is probably safe here, and I need to flake on something, but I can't. Like, can I talk to you about something and not tell anyone? Well, if it's medical, yeah, I'm bound by law. But if it's personal, you know what? Never mind. Okay. If it's not juicy, I won't say anything. Promise. And he asked for advice because he committed to something that he wished he didn't, but it was less than an hour ago. Okay, well, you got to go. Okay, well, just go, laugh, smile at laugh at their jokes and whatnot. Get a phone call, say it's an emergency, and bounce saying, oh, we had a good time, I got to do this again. But no, he doesn't reveal that it's Ashley, and then it was the firefighter that invited him over, which funny enough, Shanice told Ashley, I know you're into Andre, but hey, once you're done with the firefighter, point him in my direction. That way I can heal his broken heart. And then Ashley is looking like, oh no, because she's really feeling Andre. I think low key, Derek invited Andre over on purpose to kind of gauge the way Ashley and Andre are interacting. You know good and well it's going to be awkward as hell, and he's going to try to pick up on whether or not something's going on between Andre and his girl. But one of my favorite bits is when Jacob is talking with Derek and says, hey, you know what? Don't worry about it. You know, if Naomi's sort of cousin tries anything, we'll rough him up. So I don't know why, but sort of cousin, that phrase just took me out. So yeah, Shanice wasn't told that it was Ashley and Derek, but I have no doubt in my mind that when Ashley comes into work the next day, she's going to be able to put two and two together. So yeah. Overall, solid episode. I enjoyed it. And I do feel some kind of way about Ashley in the situation because she's honestly the victim in this. Because keep in mind, Andre was the one that tried to come on to her, but she blocked it because, hey, I'm in a relationship. And because of that awkwardness, Andre initiating that awkward situation, she misses her friend. She lost her friend because he's avoiding her and whatnot. But, you know, I can see Andre's side of this, the fact that, you know, once you get rejected, you don't want to interact with that person anymore. But at the same time, you are the one that crossed the boundary with someone who is already in a committed relationship. And it's not fair to her for you to just, you know, act like she doesn't exist. And on top of that, Ashley, you can tell that absence makes the heart grow fonder. So without Andre's presence, she could definitely feel a void there. And now she's probably questioning whether or not she does have feelings for him. And then when it comes to Derek, you know, it's just one of those things where he's kind of grappling with, okay, does this guy have a thing for my girl? Because Jacob brings up like those two, you know, delivering that baby kind of bounded them for life. And then when Andre did bring up the situation at the Uptown, he's like, oh yeah, hey, you know, yeah, Ashley's amazing, but you help too. Bro, I handed her a towel. Trust and believe. I barely struggled to do that. So, yeah, I feel like this whole dinner thing is a test. So, we'll just have to wait and see if they passed or not. But only time will tell. But as always, folks, thanks so much for tuning in. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.